Hi. This is going to be a very humbling experience because I was one of the guys who was sitting in a springboard when Indomondo was presented back in 2007, and I was probably one of those who were a bit reluctant to believe in the project. And now, a bit later, here I am, and my case will be a case of failure because the last startup I did failed. So it's not 25 million users. I think in one story is great, but this is a story of failure. Are you up for that? So I'll give you a bit of context on it. And I'm not a growth hacker. I'm the founder of it. I tried to bring my growth hacker here, so you could throw apples or bananas or something at him or eggs, but he didn't want to. So he has a new job now and he's very busy, so that's fine. But I do have some numbers, and I'm even willing to hand them out. So you will have them forever if you want to. But to go back, I started the company because I wrote a book myself called Winning Without Losing, and I published it in 12 different languages, working directly with 12 different publishers, because I didn't want to give the world rights to any one publisher. If you ever write a book, don't do that. Don't give the rights to any one publisher, because they just sit on the rights. I heard about that, and therefore I wanted to work directly with publishers in the different languages. So I've been working with 12 so far, and adding more on the go. And the thing was that was a terrible experience. I'm very happy that my book has been a bestseller in quite a few countries, and that's all nice. But the way the publishing industry works nowadays is so out of whack with the reality, right? Even just for many of them, they don't do an ebook, and you need to push them again and again to do an ebook. And an audiobook, it's not happened so far, even though my book won Management Book of the Year in the UK, and it's been #2 on Amazon just after Sheryl Sandberg's with her Lean In book. That's a huge phenomenon in the States. So the book has been doing great, but the publishers haven't. And what I figured was, why don't they make a new kind of publisher, a modern kind of publisher, focusing on, born digital, focusing on ebooks. Also, the print books have it, but you can have it as print on demand, so you don't need to have a big warehouse and print a lot of books like Gyldendal do, and then throw it out later if you don't sell it. So you just do print on demand. It's a little more expensive, or quite a lot more expensive per unit, but it's a very cheap way to get started and to get not to need to have a stock, a big warehouse, and all that distribution. Just outsource it to Amazon and focus on the ebooks and do decent marketing and do it online and work with the big influencers and promote your books. All the things that I didn't really see the established publishing industry do. So that felt like a great idea, and I raised some money on the back of that idea. We put in $1 million of our own money from Rainmaking that I'm a part of, and then we raised $2 million from business angels, some of the usual suspects that we've been working with in other projects. So that was quite easy, and then we had $3 million, and we set a goal of selling 100,000 books the first year. We wanted to start with Scandinavian authors, and in particular actually Copenhagen-based authors, because we could work with them, we could have them in our proximity, and we could sit down with them and make a plan, and we wanted to really engage the authors also, because that was part of what I felt that the publishing industry didn't do right. So we chose some brilliant authors. One of them is just sitting down here. Matthias, an awesome book called Don't Despair. I read it and I was blown away. It's an amazing book. And we thought here's a unique opportunity to actually take that book and translate it to English and market it internationally. We chose some other books as well. Also a few less profound books. One book called 10 Years Younger in 10 Weeks by Bjergegaard, about how, for women in the prime time who want to look young. So we started with 5 books, and then we started the project. There was a lot of hard work around getting the product ready, and then we put it up on our own web shop. We weren't so naive that we thought we can just go around Amazon. We knew Amazon was a big gorilla, and we wanted to be there. So instead, we established a relationship with them, as much as a startup can establish a relationship with Amazon, and the same with Apple on the iBook store. And those two, Amazon is 85% and 87 actually, or something like that. At least of our sales it was. and iBook Store was like 7%, and then the last 5% is all across the long tail, 100 other outlets, and a little bit on our own site. We were a bit naive. We hoped we could drive more traffic to our own site, because what we learned was that when we sold via Amazon, they officially say that they take 30%. That's not true. They take 58%. And the way they get around with theirs are almost double, and that's a bit disappointing to find out. But you only find out if, or at least we only found out when we were actually dealing with them. And the thing is, they have two different plans. They have the normal plan, and then if you want business intelligence, if you want to be in the promotions, if you want to be in other people who have bought or have also bought in that circle there, if you want all the good stuff, you need to pay 58% instead of a different plan. And we needed that, right? So that was very expensive. Another thing is that then the prices of ebooks are actually very low nowadays. So we got an average of 20 Danish kroner per book we sold across all formats, across all outlets, 20 kroner. So we sold 12,000 books during those. We were live for 10 months, and we sold 12,000 books, and we were supposed to sell 100,000. Supposed to, right? That was the number we put in a spreadsheet, and it was based a little on that if my book alone could kind of sell that, then we could also sell that based on. We actually thought we could have time to release 10 books. We only managed to release 5, but still, those 5 books out in all English-speaking geographies. Couldn't they sell 100,000? We dared to believe that, but the reality after looking at it afterwards was that the new titles, we had them on the way at the time when we ran out of funding. We had them there, but we didn't have that half year that it would take to also promote them and get the sales up and going. Another very disappointing fact was that we could kickstart. We could get a book to us, at least some of the books, especially the one for the primetime women, sold quite well for a period of time. But we couldn't keep it up there, unless we kept the effort up there. And then it's very difficult to build a portfolio of a lot of books, because they just fall down again every time you look at the next thing, right? So that was very frightening about the business model. If we only at any given time can really push 5 books with this size of team, then we would need to be like, want to push 100 books, we need to be like 20 times more people. Then it's not going to do any good to the numbers. So therefore, after spending those 3 million, we looked at each other in the board or whatever, myself and my investors, and we agreed that should we put in another 3 million and go another year, would probably be too risky. So since you are a group of growth hackers, I do have some numbers for you. We sold those 12,000 books. We planted 10,000 trees. We had an idea of plant a tree every time. So kind of like Tom's shoes, right? You buy a pair of shoes and you give someone a pair of shoes. We planted a tree every time. We collected 25,000 email addresses in 7 months we were online. We had an average opening rate of 22%. We built our domain authority to 46. And Gavin, my growth hacker, was extremely happy about that. So that in itself was I think, cool. Got a lot of backlinks going from Forbes and all kinds of very high authority domains. We got 7,000 Facebook likes without spending any money on ads. We got great reviews from our books on Amazon and a lot of reviews. And we had 1 million visitors from nothing when we launched in February 2014. We had 1 million visits in 2014. So we were featured in more than 50 articles, high quality, like Forbes and Men's Health and all kinds of Times, all kind of cool international outlets. So in a way, you could say that our strategy succeeded in many ways. We did get ourselves up on those big influencers, blogs and communities. We did get the PR. We did get the product to the market. We did get high user reviews for the books, so it was high quality books. But all of that put together still only generated a book sale of 12,000 books at a very low average margin or income. and therefore it seemed very difficult to get the dynamics to work. Yeah, without being 3 guys in a garage working only on pizza for 5 years. And at this time in my career, I couldn't offer that. Yeah, and then the newest development is that instead of just closing it down, we sold it to, because we thought what to do, we don't want to put in more money in it. It's still an asset, it's still a shame just to forget about it. So I found 3 guys in a garage in the UK who are actually, they do have an office, right? But you get the metaphor. They do have something going for them. They market books already now for UK publishers and self-published authors in the UK market. But they would like to go a bit downwards the value chain, so they would like to publish books themselves. And we have an infrastructure for that now, and we also have, you know, a brand and 25,000 newsletter subscribers and social media channels and all that, with things that they probably would have a hard time financing out of their startup budget. So we allow them to take it over for, it was supposed to be one pound, but now I opted to £100 because there needs to be an actual payment for the shares to register with House of Companies or Company House in the UK. So they pay it for basically nothing, buy it for basically nothing, 60%, and then myself and my investors keep 40%, and then hope that we can recover the 3 million or however much, or maybe even more if it should go crazy. Then again, I don't think it will, but he's very happy about it. His team is happy about it because for them it's extra revenue into a model where they already have found some other revenue streams as well. Yeah. I think that's about it. I don't know, was that 15 minutes? We're running a bit short, so I tried to keep it fun.
I was too short to say something.
Okay.